Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bob Schultz with Associated Packaging here on behalf of Hylex Poly. And first, I'd like to say thank you. We had a wonderful 2013 and a couple of years prior to that, growing our can liner sales. We have a lot of runway ahead of us. We started at 400 cases a month. We're up to over 1,000 cases a month. And we've got a great promotion coming for you in the month of May. We'll do some can liner training today, but before we do, I'd like Cindy Barker to tell you a little bit about that promotion. Cindy?
Hi everyone, let's talk money. This is what you're going to be working for. You've already gotten the information on the spiff, so you know what's going on. And Bob, he's just itching to give away the money. And then let's not forget that there's also a little promotion going with the different branches. You make a little extra money there too, so have fun with this. Because like I said, he's just itching to give it away. Bob, I've got some questions.
Okay.
First off, where are can liners going to be used? Like different environments?
Excellent question. You guys have done a phenomenal job with can liners. You really have. You've done a nice job of growing it, and yet I'm not sure we've explored all the opportunities yet. So where you're often going to find can liners, office environments for sure, and I know you guys are there. Cafeterias, any sort of food service or break room, very commonly used there. Certainly in warehouse environments, be it manufacturing or distribution. And lastly, don't forget the outdoors. I think I heard a fellow sneeze, so he was just outdoors. But can liners are used outdoors. Parks and recreation use a lot of them. So they're sold most everywhere, and from where I stand, I think your customers should be buying them from you.
Exactly. Two more questions. Can you better explain the whole low density, high density, and what all that means?
Okay, another excellent question. That comes up a lot. I brought some samples along today, Cindy. This is a low density bag. This one happens to be in black. It could be in clear. This is a high density bag, and again, this one is white, sometimes called white, but really it is a clear or translucent bag, and then it's also available in black. The difference being that with a high density bag, all that really is it's made of a high density polyethylene resin, and the molecules are much more dense. In other words, they're much closer together. The molecular structure serves as an excellent barrier for grease, water, and odor. Now the downside of a high density bag is if you are to puncture it for any reason, it tends to propagate or tear very easily.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, that's why it's important to make sure that we spec the right bag for the right application.
I see that.
In answer to your question now, the low density bag, on the other hand, is made of low density polyethylene resin. Again, available in black or clear. This will have a much softer feel and sound to it. It's not nearly as crispy when you take it out of the box. This is excellent for sharp objects. If you have a stick or something sharp that are going into the trash receptacle, if this bag were to puncture, it doesn't propagate.
Or tear.
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay. You had a
Last
third question?
Last question. Can you better explain the mils and microns and what exactly that means?
Excellent. Another good question, and I appreciate you asking that. That's a question that often comes up, so I brought a little tool with me today, and this is called a micrometer. Now, not all of you are going to have a micrometer, and frankly, you don't need one, but we have one at our home office, and if you're working at a large bid and there's question or speculation around the thickness of the bag, that's when a micrometer comes in. To answer your question very simply, microns are the European unit of measure to measure thickness, where mils are the American way of measuring thickness. We measure things in inches. A mil is 1/1000th of an inch. So, more simply stated, a 1.5 mil is going to be a thicker, heavier bag than a 1 mil.
Okay.
And on a high density, which are often measured in microns, a 16 micron is going to be a much heavier bag than a 10 micron or an 8 micron. Did I answer your question?
Perfect. And everybody should have already gotten a sheet from me that had a comparison that will allow you to know what a mil to a micron, compares to. I'm not saying that. What the conversion.
The conversion.
The
There you
conversion.
have it. And at the end of the day, what it really converts from is how many cases of can liners can I convert into this bucket of cash?
Now
right?
that's conversion. Bob, in an office environment, such as this, what kind of trash liner would you recommend?
Oh, that's a great question, Cindy. We've established that all offices use can liners, so let's make sure we recommend the right one. Generally speaking, you're going to have a small receptacle like
Hey,
this one.
what's this?
Hey.
Turning trash into cash.
What are you doing here?
Good to see you,
Terry
Bob.
Odom, good to see you.
Good to
Cindy,
see you.
you've met Terry
Terry,
before.
yes.
Yes, good to
Hey.
see you.
Terry's our Hilux Poly rep. His company manufactures the high density and low density can liners that have helped make your green space solution program so successful. Terry, Cindy was just asking me, in an office environment, the best can liner, what would you recommend?
I recommend high density in every situation. The reason why the trash, the waste, is lightweight, very little liquids, no sharp objects. It's the absolute best product for your office.
So we've got a high density bag in this receptacle. Is that the right one to go with?
It is. This bag is a little bit oversized, but the customer wanted it that way. In some situations, maybe they don't want as much, so we can sell them a smaller bag. So we
Okay.
try to give the customer what they want.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, folks. Well, we're still here at A to Z, this time in the break room, and with a little work, we got Cindy half in the bag. You know, there's a lot of questions about high-density bags, and are they thick enough to handle a substantial amount of weight? Well, I think we're going to show you. Terry, let's do it.
Substantial?
Well, fairly substantial. Hey, folks, we're still here. It's Friday afternoon. We're here in your break room at A to Z. I want to take this training opportunity to point a few things out to you. So let's say you're at your customer and you come across this situation. Here are two trash receptacles of exactly the same size. I already mentioned that we're in a break room. So the type of trash that you're going to see here is a bit different from what we saw in the office. More often here, you're going to have food and light waste. However, there'll also be liquids from juice and soda, water, and coffee that gets thrown in these receptacles throughout the day. One thing I want to point out, your cleaning contractor chooses in this case to use a low-density can liner, which may be overkill. Remember, low density is intended for areas where you have high puncture, sharp objects. Not sure you need a low-density bag in this environment. It's also done with an oversized bag. Some customers will do that so that they have bag to tie off if the receptacle gets overstuffed. A more practical answer to this would be this bag here, which is a lighter gauge, a little thinner product. This is a high density. Hear that crispy sound? A high density bag, thinner, but very strong. We showed you in the previous video where we picked Cindy off the ground how strong the high density bag is. But this bag is going to hold the liquid. Cindy, come on in here. Check this out. We put about 2 gallons of water in this high density bag, and it's not dripping one bit. Now you're missing an opportunity here. You're not going to be able to sell as many mops and mop buckets, but this is the right bag for this application. All right, welcome back, folks. We're still here at A to Z. We're going to spare you the trip to the restroom, but we did come out to the warehouse to look at some trash receptacles out here. So, Cindy, tell us a little bit about what you found there.
Well, I've got a 33-gallon container, and I noticed that it's got one of the high-density bags, after what we learned in the break room. I'm kind of concerned that this might be the wrong type of bag. Can you help me out a little bit?
I would have to agree with you. The things I notice about this, if I'm coming into a warehouse operation, the first thing I see is, well, that's kind of a small can. That's going to fill up rather quickly. I also notice they have some pieces of a broken pallet, which is very common in a warehouse environment. Problem with that, they go to sack this up tonight. First thing that's going to happen is that wood's coming right through the sidewall of that high-density bag, and then it's going to propagate. I'm guessing this trash is going to wind up somewhere between the warehouse and the dumpster. That's not the way I'd go. Definitely a larger receptacle and a low-density bag. Terry, what'd you find?
Well, I found this particular waste can here with a low-density bag. As you can see, the can's pretty damaged. What would you say here?
Wouldn't go that route either. Again, we've got a really small receptacle. I'm not really sure why a customer would want to hold on to this particular receptacle. Great opportunity to sell a new trash can, right? So I'd start with that. The only reason I can think why they're going with a bag this heavy here is to compensate for their own puncture points that have been created with this receptacle. So first thing I do, put them into the right size can, one that doesn't have to be emptied 6 times a day. A big 55-gallon Brute's a good place to start. Put the right size liner on it that it fits snugly around the top. Don't have any sharp edges here. And when it's time to empty the can, it comes off easily and retains all of the sharp objects from the day. That's the way I'd go in a warehouse. Okay, well, we decided this one's no good.
And this one's no good at all.
And remember, if you spec it correctly, you can turn can liners into cash.